I'm Tom Gentry. I'm a writer. I launched my first podcast in 2019. And for over 20 years, I've helped families struggling with addiction and related issues. I'm all about helping people reconnect with themselves and connect with others. I've spoken to men and women from many walks of life with the aim of getting to the essence of who they are. Along the way, I developed a set of questions to which even their closest friends may not know the answers. This show is my take on the Proust questionnaire. In each of these conversations, another human being offers us a small glimpse into their mind. They show us their heart, and in doing so, sometimes they touch ours. This is 20 Questions. So Bryn was a guest on, was it episode 62, Bryn? Is that what I said?
Yeah, I have no idea what episode
Let's
number,
see.
but I know it was about a year ago.
Yeah, it came out on October 22nd of last year. Maybe 92, episode 92. And Bryn's a sex coach who I think is going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. So did you go back and look at your answers when you did this before, Bryn?
No, I specifically didn't because I'm a new human being since a year ago and I want a fresh perspective.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. All right. So if your life were a novel, what would be the title?
Ooh. Lead with an open heart.
Okay, I like it. Where were you born?
I was born in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of Hershey. So I love chocolate.
And what is the place that you call home?
Currently Austin, Texas. And I imagine that may be changing soon.
Okay. How long have you been in Austin?
I moved to Austin in 2019, fresh out of my separation. I legitimately drove my RV with my ex-husband here. And that was our final moment together. It was when he dropped me off at my trailer spot in downtown Austin. And that was the beginning of my new home here in Austin.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it was October of 2019. So it's been, almost exactly 2 years.
So where are you thinking about going next? It sounds like you have somewhere in mind. Or are you going to be a vagabond?
I don't desire to be a vagabond again. That was really hard on my nervous system. And I love to travel, but I like having a home base while I do it. So I've been looking at either Colorado or Southern California.
Okay.
And I don't have the plan as per usual. I just have the intention and the desire. And then I'll see what the universe shows up and shows me.
It's exciting.
Yeah, totally. It is.
All right. Moving right along. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grow up?
Ooh, I definitely remember wanting to be a veterinarian at one point. I've always loved animals. And still to this day, my motivation for most things in life is animal centered. So if I can go somewhere and see wildlife, I'm going to do just that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm going to stick with veterinarian, and I'm sure there was probably 100 more things in there too.
What do you have animals?
I have a almost 11-year-old lab pit mix named Buddy, and he is my whole heart. I would do anything for that dog, as I have proven time and time again when he has had 3 surgeries now from eating things he's not supposed to. So, I would go bankrupt for that dog. He's my whole heart.
Mm-hmm. So what is your profession?
So I am a sex, love, and relationship coach, and I support women in finding themselves, finding their turn on, coming back to their body, and creating a life around their turn on. And I do that through educating them first and foremost on things like their anatomy, what's available when it comes to sex, what's available when it comes to love. We're sold this story that sex and love has to look one way, or it's the only way we've ever seen and known it to look. And so I like showing people what is available. And I also support them in rewriting stories, right? So much of my life, I believed that pleasure wasn't for me. I believed that sex was for my partner and for his pleasure. I believed that if I was sexual, that I was a slut. And there were so many stories that I had to unpack as an adult. And in that unpacking, I found my confidence in my voice. And I really love supporting women doing the same thing. And then I also really support them in embodiment. So it's one thing to learn all of this information about sex, but it's another to actually feel sexual energy running through your body and to know how to turn yourself on and to know how to be a seductress, be a sacred slut, be a whatever turns you on. And I really love teaching how to actually be in that energy. It's a really fun part of what I do.
Sounds fun.
It is.
Yeah.
I love my job.
Yeah. I've, following you on Instagram, it looks like you have a lot of fun.
I do.
Yeah.
I believe in what I preach, which is that your life should turn you on. And if it's not, and when I say turn on, so many people immediately think sexual, but turn on to me is just being activated. It's being excited about your life. And if you're not excited about your life, it's okay. It's just an opportunity to dig deeper and go, well, what would turn me on?
Right.
And then follow the pleasure.
Okay. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Like if there was no rules and I could just step into anything.
Do whatever you want.
Okay. I kind of think I said this last time, but there is something to me that is so appealing about, because I love embodiment and because I love movement so deeply, something about being a professional dancer, like being a ballet, a ballerina, like in a ballet company and being able to perform all over the world and move my body in a way that just cannot move right now. Because there's something so magical about music and movement, and how much of my life I can remember through song and dance, right? Like a couple weeks ago, I was in Red Rocks, Colorado, and the music moving through me, it was a moment I'll never forget. My soul left my body. I've never been in more pleasure or joy. And the thought of doing that professionally, where I can have these moments of being so connected to the music and being able to move in a way that very few can, just seems magical and really appealing to me.
What's your favorite quote?
Lately, it's a quote by Mama Gina. Actually, let me see if I can look it up real quick so I don't totally butcher it. It's something around... go to the places you've been told to fear the most. Menopause, your period, your orgasm, all processes that involve your pussy. And for women, we're taught to fear our sexual power and to fear this part of our body that creates life, right? Like this is not just create life, but also if you think about the way society has used that word, it's typically synonymous with weakness. And in fact, it's one of the strongest, most incredible, magical parts of our body, and how different life would be for little girls who then become grown women if we were taught about how magical and powerful this part of us is. And instead, we're taught that our periods are a nuisance and that, that, like I said, we talked about this earlier, like if you are in love with your body and your pleasure, then you may be considered a slut, depending on where you were raised and who you were friends with. And so I love the reclamation of that word. I know it can be triggering for a lot of people, but I do believe that it's a really powerful powerful part of owning your confidence and owning your pleasure is reclaiming the parts of you that you've been told previously are not important or to be afraid of.
What is your preferred form of creative expression?
It changes, but I would say preferred currently is writing. Writing to me is so cathartic, and I'll get these hits where I'll be laying in bed or, walking my dog or in the shower where something is just so clearly moving inside of me that it needs to be written down on paper. And I'm grateful because I come from one line of writers. My grandmother is a published author and also a poet, and she has such a way with words. So I grew up loving writing, loving reading, loving storytelling. It's something she gave to me. And I'm really grateful that I've gotten to find my own way back to it, because there's no doubt in my mind I'll write a book at some point.
I was going to ask you if you had plans for that.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to trust, though, versus just writing for the sake of writing, I'm going to trust that I will know when the book is there versus forcing it. That's just like a whole other topic in my life of trusting the timing and not trying to control and force. But yeah, I would say it's writing. There's something that's like unlike anything I've ever felt when the words convey the meaning and the intention behind them, and somebody writes to me and says, "Wow, I know exactly what you were feeling," or "Thank you for describing that. I've never had somebody describe it that way," or "Your words touched me so deeply or inspired me," and that makes it all worth it.
The other thing I love about it is that when I'm writing, I reach conclusions that I wouldn't have reached otherwise,
Yeah.
Just gathering my thoughts.
Yes, it's very, what's the word? It helps me to synthesize and to make conclusions.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your favorite movie?
Step Brothers.
Yeah, I love that.
I will forever laugh at like childish dick fart poop humor and like slapstick comedy. Will Ferrell to me is one of the funniest human beings on this planet. And there's just something so fucking goofy about it. And I remember my mom took myself and my brother. She was mortified. She wanted to leave. She hated it. I think my brother didn't think it was that funny. And I was just belly laughing. And then I remember, I've probably seen it a dozen times every year since it came out. And I remember being in Jordan, in the Middle East. And we had this crappy hotel. We were going early in the morning, traveling into this, I think we were maybe going to Petra. I don't remember, but we turned on the TV and Step Brothers was on. But because of the censorship, the movie went from being like a 2-hour movie to like a 45-minute TV show. And it was just bleeped out. All of my favorite clips were gone. I remember it making me laugh so hard, being like, what the fuck? You can't censor Step Brothers this much.
Do you have a favorite scene in there?
Oh, God, so many. I really love, I love the scene where they're trying to kill each other. And they're like in the front yard and he like hits him over the head with a shovel and he like crawls back out of the dirt and he looks like a zombie. It's just so stupid and so funny.
I have a friend who was, he needed to hire a therapist. So he and his team were interviewing this guy who on paper seemed really great, but they took him to lunch for like the last leg of the interview. And somebody made a comment about Step Brothers and he didn't know what Step Brothers was. He hadn't seen it before. Yeah. And so then when they got back and were talking about, are we going to hire this guy? One of the therapists was like, yeah, let's do it. And my buddy was like, you know what? How's he going to relate to our clients if he doesn't even know what Step Brothers is? Like, come on. So that's what lost him the job. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's a cool way to scan for a culture fit.
I mean, you know, you gotta, if your job is to talk to people, you gotta be able to talk to people, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
What's your favorite song?
Ooh, without a doubt, currently, Trevor Hall, Reminder, or A Reminder. Trevor Hall is a musician I found in one of the darkest, heaviest chapters of my whole life. And his music was truly medicine for me. I mean, the lyrics of this particular song is all about how love is, you know, my love to you, for example, is a reminder, but your love is what really matters the most, like your own personal love and to find your center. And I was in the middle of leaving my marriage. I was so heartbroken. I was in the new stages of falling in love with somebody else. And I remember this new suitor of mine sent me this song while I was in a coffee shop. And I was post-separation, like fresh out of the separation. I had just been attacked by a dog. So I got caught in this gnarly dog fight. And like, I was miles and miles and miles away from my home and my family. And I was just fucking sad, so sad. And they sent me this song, and I'll never forget it. I was in Bozeman, Montana, sitting outside of this coffee shop, and I just lost it. I mean, like the kind of crying where you're almost like dry
Snot, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. And I just lost it. Yeah, I was so moved because it was exactly what I needed to hear, that this was my journey back to finding myself. In this song, every time I hear it, it brings tears to my eyes. And I was in yoga last night, and they started to play it during Shavasana, and it feels like this cosmic giggle every time I hear it, of like, okay, remind yourself, like it's okay to go back to you, to your center. So I just love his words, and I'll see him at Red Rocks next year. I bought the tickets, and I cannot wait.
Favorite work of art?
Ooh, it's a great question. So I recently have been on a journey of collecting art pieces that feel like me. To me, that was always the epitome of like adulthood. You have art on your walls. It's not just, you know, that you purchased from Target, which no shame there, it's fine. But there's an artist called Dramjul, and he paints in this way of, it's like sex meets acid meets femininity. The paintings are so feminine and beautiful, with like this delicious amount of sex and sexuality, and then this drippiness that makes you feel like you've just gone down a psychedelic rabbit hole. And I've been obsessing over his art for years now, and I actually just was gifted 3 prints of his that are sitting in my living room ready to be framed. So I'm really excited about that.
Who do you admire most?
The first person that came to mind is my grandmother. And it's so interesting because I don't know if I would have ever admired her to the level that I do now had I not taken the time to really hear her story. Because from, I think, a surface level, many people would see what she did and poke holes in it or question it. And I'll share more about that in a second. But as a single woman, I saw such bravery and courage in what she did. So my grandmother, married to my grandfather, they were together for decades, so in love. And tragically, my grandfather became very ill. He was diagnosed with Pick's disease, which is a rare form of Alzheimer's. And it started to very slowly deteriorate his mind, his body. And essentially, while he was still alive, she had to start adjusting to being a single woman, knowing that he was no longer able to care for her. So it was this really sad and sick, twisted sort of way of realizing that you have to start preparing for somebody's death while they're still alive. And so she moved him to a nursing home that was in a different part of the country, not because she wanted to be away from him, but because it was the best care she could find. But then she decided to move to New York City, which is where her heart had always been. She'd always wanted to go back. And people in my family judged her for it. Her friends judged her for it. And I see so much courage in her decision to do that for herself. And I fully believe that you can never judge someone until you've been in those exact same shoes. And even if you have, the context is different, the human is different, the life experience is different. And so I just think what she did was so brave. And then having to recreate a life for herself at the age of, 60, having had a partner your entire life. They were together from the time they were teenagers. And she made a really beautiful life for herself. She followed her desires. She had this gorgeous apartment in New York and was so independent and walking the streets of, downtown Manhattan on her own, and was a docent at Carnegie Hall. And she just lived an amazing next chapter despite a really shitty hand being dealt. And I just admire the hell out of her for it.
So she kind of set the template for you, didn't she?
She did. Yeah. And I didn't even recognize that until I had to walk that path myself in a different way, but with a lot of parallels.
Okay. Over the course of your life, what is an issue with which you have repeatedly struggled?
Ooh. There's a couple, because I'm human. The first one coming to mind has to do with my speeds at which I operate. So from the time I can remember, I would go 150 miles an hour, full pleasure, joy, play, excitement, community, adventure, until I hit a fucking wall. And then I swung to the total opposite end of the spectrum and needed solitude, downtime, no communication. Don't talk to me. I need to be alone. I don't want any engagement. I spent too much money. I drank too much alcohol. I ate too much food. It was scarcity or feast or famine, right? Like one extreme or the other. And it makes sense because that's how I was raised. Specifically with money, we had all the money in the world or none at all. And so I learned from a young age we swing into extremes, and I still bump up against that edge all the time because there's this part of me that just wants to live life to the fullest. And I love that about myself. And I'm not always the best at my own boundaries. And just boundaries in general, I would say, is a great one for me.
You're describing codependency, Bryn. That inability to experience one's own reality moderately.
Yep.
That's one of the symptoms.
Yep. Well, I can totally relate to that because I was in a highly codependent relationship through my entire life. And it wasn't until I left my marriage that I had to learn two things really well. One, that I'm deserving of joy and happiness in this world. And two, that I'm totally capable of caring for myself at every level. And it wasn't until I left my marriage that I was faced with both of those realities in some very challenging ways. But it has built my self-esteem drastically since then.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that gets missed about it is that it's really about your relationship with yourself. I mean, that's what it is,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I believe that.
In childhood, who was your celebrity crush?
Childhood? Well, I mean, I was obsessed with from Aladdin, like so hot. Love me a good hot cartoon character. Also a big fan of Gaston. Thought he was total asshole, but definitely sexy. And then this was a funny one that a bunch of my girlfriends and I could not stop cracking up about. We're like, does anybody else remember feeling oddly sexually attracted to Casper the Ghost? And I was like, yeah, I do actually. There was something about like the mystery of it, and also like there was some sexual tension there. Like I think they kissed at one point, and like it was right around the time I'm sure that I was coming online to all of these feelings, and so we were laughing about that.
That's really interesting. Well, this question, I changed it. In the beginning, it was, who is your celebrity crush? And,
okay.
And so many people didn't answer it. They just didn't want to do it.
Oh, really?
I had one guest who was like, come on, it's me. I'm not answering that. And so I thought,
funny.
so who's your, at this point in your life, who's your celebrity crush?
Ooh, gosh. I mean, just from like a pure sex factor, Channing Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
I love him. I think he's so sexy. He can dance. He can sing. He seems really playful, and that's like a really attractive feature to me. And he's beautiful to look at, and he seems kind, which I'm so here for. And it's funny, I kind of admire, is it Ryan Reynolds for the same sort of thing, where he's just, you can tell he doesn't take himself so seriously, and he likes to have banter and play with his wife. He's always just taking the piss out of her. And I really value humor. And I think a man that cannot take himself so seriously and has an open heart and is hyper masculine, fuck me up. Yeah.
Okay. What historical figure would you most like to meet?
Gosh. I'm thinking. It would be something or someone around the Holocaust, some sort of combination of Holocaust survivor, and like if I could have a sect of different Holocaust survivors, from like some that went to the camps as small children to wives or siblings, and being able to talk to them about their experience. I'm Jewish, and it just learning about the Holocaust and being able to go to Israel as an adult and going to Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Museum there, and learning about what my lineage went through. And I've never been in such like ghostly terror walking through any sort of historical monument before. They built the museum to be physically uncomfortable so that when you're in the museum, you experience physical pain. So the way that they designed it is the floors are slightly slanted, so your back starts to ache, and they don't have any benches, so you can't sit. And it's built in a triangle where the walls feel like they're caving in. So you feel somewhat claustrophobic, and it's a beautiful design, and also designed with such intention, because they also have it somewhat maze-like, so there's no clear way out. And it's all, like I said, done with intention to recreate the feeling of discomfort while you're learning about this just haunting moment in history. And so to be able to sit with somebody and to learn about what they experienced and what it was like, and to learn about Man's Search for Meaning is one of my favorite books of all time.
I was going to ask you if you knew about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And to just get to speak with someone about how you, it brings tears to my eyes even talking about it, how you find hope in such a dark place.
Yeah.
I think that's something we all learn from, especially in a time like we're in now, right?
Yeah, it's so weird right now.
Oh gosh. And just the strength of that group, of what they had to endure, and that they were still able to do things like find love and the will to live every day. It's just beyond me.
Well, it's not beyond you, or else you wouldn't have that heart for this.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
What natural gift or ability would you most like to possess?
So I think I could answer this two ways. One that I'm so fucking grateful that I have is vulnerability. I think it's my greatest strength. And I thank myself every day for coming back to that part of me, because I didn't lean into it for a very long period in my life. I came into this world with such an open heart and such an ability to really show people what it is like to feel. And I lost it throughout my marriage and throughout just life, showing me that it was unsafe or too much or unwelcome. And I have found it again. And it is without a doubt my favorite thing about myself. And so it's the one in which I already have. And if I had to pick one that I think I don't come by easily, that I would love to be like more in ease with, would be speaking my truth. I think I do it so much better now, and I'm getting better, but there's a part of me that, like when I see an injustice or I feel confronted, or I'm around a lot of powerful people, I'll lose my voice at times. And I watch certain people in my life have such ease to stand in opposition and to speak their truth. I think I articulate really well, and there are still certain times in my life in which I just lose it. And so I think that would be one that I aspire to have more of.
Well, for me, my first thought is they're almost interrelated. They're almost the same thing. So, and I bet there's, some vulnerability there. There's some connection there, Bryn. There has to be. For you.
Sure, I believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it was always about like having the courage to use my voice. Right. And as a little kid, I just didn't do that. I just learned to be quiet and not make a fuss and all that. And yeah, caused a lot of problems eventually. All right.
Oh, I get that.
What do you consider your greatest achievement?
Oh, gosh. It's that I had the courage to walk away from the comfort, safety, and security of a life that was honestly totally fine. And I think most people would have been content with, or that I, in a previous version of myself, was content with. It's not necessarily about the fact that I left the marriage. It's the fact that I was so brave. Like, I'll never forget the moment that I made that declaration and the courage it took for me to not come running back, to not say, fuck it, I'll stay because it's easy. And then on the other side of that courage, I gave myself everything that I wanted, Tom. Like, I really said, okay, you just walked away. You have a blank canvas. Now, what do you want? And I had the courage and the strength to then go and build it. And I'm still building it, and I'll be building it forever. It's not like there's this point in which I was like, well, I've arrived. I've had moments of arriving over and over and over. But that particular leg of my journey and leaving my marriage will forever be with me, in that I just won't settle anymore. I did too much to leave so that I could have what I really wanted. And so now my lens forever gets to be, is this the most beautiful and true version of my life? And if it is not, then what do I need to do to shake shit up and make sure that I have that?
I love that.
Thank you.
What quality do you admire most in a person?
Kindness.
Yeah, me too.
I think so much can be accomplished through kindness. And, I look at the way I show up and I operate with others. And every time I act from kindness, I'm never led astray. I'm just not, because even if the other person can't meet me in that, or I quote unquote get taken advantage of, I feel an integrity because I know that I'm acting from kindness. To me is synonymous with an open heart too. Like, it's really hard to be kind and closed-hearted. And so to me, leading life with an open heart is being kind and considerate and empathetic. It sort of envelops all of these qualities that I believe to be so important. And there's so much that can be accomplished through empathizing. Just what is it like to be this other person, and what is it that they need right now?
Yeah.
It's no wonder that the world is waking up to just how important emotional intelligence is, because it takes us so far. And it's how we connect, right? Through kindness, we can connect to one another, and that's where intimacy is formed. And so there's so many layers to it, but kindness, I think, really encompasses most of it.
What's something you'd like to learn more about?
Through my career, something I'm really interested in right now is cervical orgasms. I think just female sexuality is fascinating, and it's also wildly understudied. We put a man on the moon before we had mapped the full anatomical structure of the clitoris. And so there's just a huge gap in what we've studied and understand about women's pleasure and women's sexuality. And because of that, so many of us are playing catch up, and we're trying to figure out our bodies and how unique they are and the way that they get turned on and what brings us pleasure. And sex is such an important part of life, such an important part of my life. It's how I'll create a child. It's how I will share intimacy with my partner, intimacy with myself. It's how I tap into my creativity, my power. There's so many things about sex that I enjoy. And so particularly cervical orgasms fascinate me because they say that the cervix is also the gateway to the heart, that there's a connection from the cervix to the vagus nerve to the heart, and that it's got more nerve endings than we've ever given it credit for. Women are taught and told that it's normal for your cervix to be numb, and that's not true. It has a huge amount of pleasure potential, and it accesses a very different part of pleasure than we're used to with a clitoral orgasm. So the clitoris is more linked to like a fast dopamine hit, whereas cervical orgasms are connected to oxytocin, the bonding hormone. And so when you have a cervical orgasm, it's like the feeling of falling in love. And it also creates deeper intimacy with yourself and with the person that's with you. And it can also release DMT. So you have this somewhat psychedelic experience or transcendental experience. And so I'm just fascinated by them at the moment.
What do you wish more people knew about you?
Gosh. I remember how I answered this last time, which is that I'm such an open book that I don't think there's much that is left behind, but I think I will answer it differently. I study love, and I study sex, and I study relationships and human psychology, and it fascinates me. And I think I'm a really damn good coach. I know I'm a really damn good coach. I've helped a lot of people, and I'm in total service to my craft, and I'm forever a student of this work myself. And so I'm, as in many ways as I have mastered the intellect of this, I'm very much still embodying it myself and learning through trial and error and partnership and love and heartbreak what this dance is all about. And so I think it's this, the further and further I get down the path, also, I'm never removed from the work myself. And I think that's really important. Always, I think people can get put on pedestals and we can idolize people that we see something in them that we desire. And I do that myself with certain individuals. But the more people I meet, especially the more people I meet that I've admired, I see the humanness in all of us. We're all fucking figuring it out and doing the best that we can with what we have.
Okay. What is your idea of success?
It is living a life that is the most beautiful and true version of what I want my life to be. And if I can say that this is the most beautiful and true version and I'm currently living it, then I am in pure success and pure joy. And it's such a great lens to live your life by. I get this phrase from Glennon Doyle, so this is not my phrase, but I read her book Untamed at exactly the right time when my marriage was falling apart. And she talks about this, measure of, is your life the most beautiful and true version? And if not, then it is your full-time job to create it as such. And so I'm grateful to have had many opportunities and moments of that. And then also the wherewithal of when I'm not living the most beautiful and true version to go, okay, that's okay. There's grace and compassion and I'm on the journey. And what do I need to bring me closer to that?
Okay. Last question. What would you like people to say about you when you're gone?
I'm so sorry.
It's
One
okay.
second.
All right.
So
We're
sorry
back.
about that. Gosh,
It's
that
okay.
was so bizarre. Literally never anyone knocks on my door. And of course that happened.
Okay.
So we're back.
We're back. What do you want people to say about you when you're gone?
That she could keep her shit together while multitasking. No. What I want people to say is, that she did everything she said she wanted to in this life and lived by such example that it inspired me to do the same.
I'm sure that's already happened, right? Have you had people come to you and say, hey, I saw you do this and it inspired me to do that?
Oh, yeah. Yes. I do believe inspiring others is of a reason why I've been put on this planet. And I think that inspiration will look a lot of different ways throughout my time here on Earth, but it certainly gives me a bright light in those dark tunnels of when I'm experiencing such heaviness or challenge. I remember that there's something so much bigger than myself, and that by me living my life fully, I give full permission for others to do the same.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, anybody's welcome to come up if they want to. We didn't have as much of a crowd today as I have had in the past, but that's okay. I feel like this has been great. How's it been for you to do this, Bryn?
I loved it. It was so much fun. The questions are so impactful, and it's fun to just take an opportunity to reflect. And I operate from from my gut, from my sacral center so easily. And so rapid fired questions are usually pretty easy and fun for me because I like to just see like what comes up. And I just trust that the thing that comes up is the thing I'm supposed to say.
Yeah. It's fun, right? I mean,
it is
living like that.
Mm-hmm. I love doing it. And I also know not everyone's designed to operate that way. Some people truly need time. Like the thought of someone rapid firing questions to, for example, my partner in business, she doesn't operate like that. And so that's probably her worst nightmare versus for me, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah.
So she doesn't want to be a guest.
All day.
You don't think she would want to do
this? She may. She may want the questions ahead of time.
Well, I feel like, what drew me to you in the first place is that the actions that you have taken in your life just feel really audacious, right?
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And listening to you when you were on the podcast talking about, more about how you were brought up and what your marriage was like and all that. I mean, it was a bold move to walk away.
Yeah.
And it's there's so much judgment attached to divorce. Even, within myself, I had it, and you want people to approve, right? You want people to not judge you. So then if on the surface, everything looks really great, then it's like, well, what the hell am I going to tell people? What are people going to think? Like,
totally.
So I'm sure you had some of that stuff coming up, but to just do it anyway, because that's what you had to do to really be true to yourself. I mean, that's why I created this podcast because I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to do that as a kid. And I needed that energy as a kid. I didn't have the self-esteem to tell the people who I really needed to go fuck themselves. Right. And just go do what I wanted anyway.
Yeah.
But, so it took me a long time to get there, but it's so gratifying to do it, to get to the place where for me, it was like, okay, this job's over. I'm not getting another job. I'm going to figure out a different way to do that and a different way to live. And it's a way that, I mean, I come from like a pretty working class 9-to-5 type of family. And if they knew like what kind of schedule, they'd think I'm crazy. Like if they saw how I really work, and, they'd perceive it as not working probably, but, but yeah, I mean, I'm happier than I've ever been. And I just feel like more people can do that, should do that. And if I can do something to help, embolden people to just live their own lives, I want to be able to do that. And you definitely inspire people to do that just by being who you are. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
thanks for being on here.
Oh, totally. Thanks for walking the path with me.
Thanks for listening to the show. Please take the time to subscribe at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. Check out the latest episode of The Path to Authenticity at thepathtooauthenticity.com. You can also find the podcast club on Clubhouse, where you can join the podcast community for access to supplemental content at patreon.com/thepathtooauthenticity.